Who are you?
I'm Quaran Ahmad.
And what do you do?
I create art. I create moments based on experiences, and through both of those I create art. Just like these moments and these things that are meant to bring people together, and you know, that's what really pushes me. You know, it's just bringing people together and hearing other people's like experiences and everything like that, and creating a spectacle out of it through the cause of art.
So what are some name of the projects that you created so far?
Created this little thing called the Burn documentary. I don't know if you've heard of it. Vessel project, that was before that. I'm starting to do these little photo things on my Instagram right now. I make music under the name Vinny as well. So I have a bunch of different things. Also, I'm working on like a photo book right now and plenty of other stuff, so yeah.
And with these projects that you created, Burn, most recently Such Lovely Community, all of these projects, would you say that these are more of like an outward showing of your true self and who you want to be or who you aspire to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you're just seeing like an artist come into his confidence more, you know what I mean? Like when I was younger, I just really didn't have the confidence to just like go up to people in New York and say, hey, can I take your photo? Like, you know, but I've always had, you know, that feeling of sonder, just wondering about, you know, what other people are feeling, and, you know, if I was the only person who felt left out or felt introverted or felt like the outlier in all things. And, you know, just through creating this art, I've really just recognized that the answer is no, I'm not the only person. And like, people are just very, very interesting. And when you put a camera in their face, when you put a microphone, you know, under their voice and everything like that, you're able to really understand that you're not so alone. And that's like, that would probably be like my artist statement if I ever had to say that.
Where are you from?
I'm from Chicago.
And being a young black kid growing up in Chicago, how do you feel like your city influenced you artistically, or just even as a person in general?
I mean, Chicago is like home of Kanye, Lupe, Obama, if you're into that type of thing. And, you know, we're just a powerhouse for like amazing black people. And like, you know, just growing up there, that's all you would hear. You just feel it kind of in the air and stuff like that. I remember sitting in like, you know, I used to attend this school called Lindblom Math and Science Academy. And I remember Chance the rapper, he had dropped like No Problem, like the lead single of his new out coloring book. And like, I remember that was just a moment. Like literally all of us was at the lunch table like, oh my God, Chance just dropped, you know what I mean? So like, it's just in the air. It's just like something that you just feel being a Chicago kid. And I always knew I wanted to do something that like, you know, my name would electrify the city. It would be like it would be akin to like a Kanye or a Virgil or someone like that. And it just took a couple years for me to figure out exactly like the pen I would write my name with that would electrify that city. So yeah.
And one thing I want to touch on, and you don't have to get into it that you don't want to, but me and you kind of share a common experience of growing up in a single parent household. Do you feel like, some people call it a struggle, I mean, for us, it's just regular life. Like,
yeah.
But do you feel like that has attributed to your work ethic and how far you want to go and what you want to do to inspire other people who come from backgrounds like us?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think about it every day, man. Like, I mean, like I feel like that's the popular, like, you know, young black boy like mission. Like, oh, I want to get my mom out the hood. I want to get her a house. I want to get my grandparents out the hood for sure. You know, they still live in Chicago. My mom doesn't live in Chicago anymore. She lives somewhere else. But I mean, still though, you know, I have 2 more years of school that needs to be paid, and you know, every day I'm grinding really for the purpose of like paying off this school so my mom doesn't have to worry, and paying off her loans, and like just making it so she doesn't have to worry anymore. And that just comes from me just growing up and just seeing her struggle and seeing her go through traumatic events, and it really made me grow stronger. It really made me grow up a lot faster than probably my peers had to. And it just led to me just becoming just very mature and just very quiet and inquisitive about how other people feel, probably because I saw every single emotion from my mom, you know?
And do you feel like that's why failure isn't an option for you?
Yeah, because I always move like I've never failed a day in my life, you know, like, and like every day, or at least every week, I do something that scares me, or that would have scared me before. Like recently, last week, I painted my name on my bag, and I started carrying around this tote bag with my name on it, and like, I was in my room like, oh my God, dude, this is so pretentious. Like this is, like you pushed it before, but this is a lot, you know? And then like, I just said, you know, fuck it, you know? I'm gonna just carry this bag with my name on it. And like, yeah, I mean, some people have looked, but like a lot of people just wouldn't know that's my name. But it gives me so much like power. It just puts so much power into my own name because my name is powerful, what I do is powerful, and you know, I move in a way that just like, it showcases like how I feel about myself, which is that I'm the best, so.
Where does your name come from?
My parents were in the Nation of Islam around the time that they gave birth to me. So that's where they came up with the name Quaran. They added an extra A to the name, everything like that. And then my mom got the last name Ahmad from Ahmad Jamal. He was like a NBA like broadcaster or something like that in the 90s. And she just really liked that name. So when my mom and dad were, you know, they created new names for themselves, like really like liberated themselves from like their original names and created new names. And they were just like, you know, we got to name him something powerful, you know, something that's like groundbreaking. And Quaran Ahmad was just what they came up with. And yeah.
Do you feel like you're living up to that name?
Oh yeah. It's just such a bold name. Like up until like last year, if you looked at my name, you just see a bunch of like stuff that doesn't relate to me. Like, you know who I am. But nowadays, you know, when I just look up that and I just see my website, my Instagram, and the Hilltop article and stuff like that, it just like makes me feel like, whoa, you know. And like I'm really a geek, and like I'm really like I think about everything. Like I see like. I really love how like some of the best artists, great celebrities, they always have like a really cool name, like Tom Hanks or something like that. And like, I think Quaran Ahmad is just like one of those like fire ass names. Like, I don't know. It's just like sometimes, and this is really embarrassing. Sometimes I like sit down and like, I just look at my name. Like, I'm just like, whoa, that's fire.
So I don't know if you plan anything for it just yet, but I mean, we just hit Burn 3. We're filming right now, of course.
Yeah.
What does the next step look like, bro? Well, what's next for Quaran Ahmad?
It's like last year around this time, I was just finishing up Vessel Project, and I was telling all my close friends like, yo, I have this idea for like a documentary. I want to do this documentary, and I hit up, you know, Keith, Kenya, a bunch of other people about like a documentary. I didn't know what it would be yet, but like I just had an idea, and then, you know, what eventually became Burn that January. So like I've kind of like been looking back at that time and like reflecting onto like where I'm at now, and like thinking like, like I'm not really having that right now. Like I don't, you know, I will create a movie eventually. You know, I was talking about the photo book and everything, but I don't really have like a strict 100% thing that I'm working towards right now, other than like Burn, really. You know, because Burn is is a year, basically a 1.5 year long project, and like this is the longest project I've ever worked on. It's generated the most revenue or profit ever, like by a large margin, that I've ever worked on. And you know, I'm just really proud of the work, and like so much has gone into this fucking project, man. Like it's just like, it's literally like having a kid. Like when Fee was talking about like Firebird being her kid, I'm like, yo, like I got a kid too, and like it is hard having Burn sometimes, because it's just like it kind of rules your life. But like I remember when I was younger, I was like, this is just like, I know that this is what my life is going to be. I remember like during COVID, you know, I was really going through like a hard depression. And like one evening, I had like this random vision. And it was like me, and it was like my perspective. I was like sitting at like this beach house or something. I was looking out and looking at the ocean and stuff. And I could feel the breeze. I could literally feel with everything around me. And like, but I was still sitting in my room in Georgia with my mom and my stepdad. And I'm like, I felt it for like that couple seconds. And then like, I came back and I was like, oh, like that's the future. Like that's where I'm about to go. And like, I just have to get ready now. So like everything that Pastor Quaran does is just like, it just happens. But like I live in the future, and like, I just know that things are going to be great and things will be successful. And I really have no worries. I don't have a plan right now, but like the thing with me is that I could have a plan like 5 minutes from now. I could be like, oh, Kenya, I should have said this, I forgot about it. But it's like, that's just how I am. Like I just come up with stuff on the whim, and then I'm just like, oh, that's my new personality for like the next 10 months, you know? So, yeah.
As a Black artist, do you feel like you're constantly fighting to get into those creative spaces that white people or your white counterparts won't even let you in? Because right now,
yeah.
Actually, I'll get to that later. I'll let you answer that and I'll get to another part.
Yeah, that's my favorite question, because like, yes. And up until a couple months ago, I didn't even want to be called a Black artist. I just want to be called an artist, simply for that fact of like, I don't want them to pigeonhole me and say like the photography I make or burn or anything like that is, oh, you know, this has like a racial lens to it, or oh, is this about, you know, until I realized a couple months ago, you know, just consuming more and more Black art and being really inspired by different Black artists, do I realize like there's an importance to putting those 5 letters in front of artists, because you know it's a movement, you know what I mean? You can't ever stop being Black, like just like how I can't ever stop being an artist. I'll forever be an artist, and I'll forever be Black. And it's my goal and it's my duty as a Black person to show the next generation, like, you can reject all this stuff, you can reject, you know, what they put in your hand for you to be, and still be successful, you know what I mean? Because that's what I looked at, you know what I mean? I saw my favorites, and they completely went right when everyone told them to go left. And I looked at that as a young kid, and people, like, even like my family, they would say, no, just go left, you know, that's just how it is, just go left. And I'd be like, no, that doesn't make sense to me. And like, it still never does. It still has never made sense to me, a lot of things, a lot of rules of society. And I completely reject all these walls and everything that they put onto us, because they're fake. And I think I'm living proof of that, so.
And to touch on that, what was the idea behind you becoming an architecture major?
I became an architecture major because STEM is cool. When I was in 8th grade, I wanted to major in music, but my mom was like, that's a horrible idea. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll do something else. So then I just looked in STEM. I saw civil engineering. I was like, okay, that looks cool. I knew I wanted to design buildings back then. So it was kind of like, I didn't quite know what I was going into. So I did that first year of civil engineering, and I didn't like it. Like, I remember for our final project, they were like, the mission was like, talk about a design that could like help your home community. So all these people were talking about like bridges and like constructing new roads. I'm like, I'm gonna create a school. And like, I remember like, you know, my teacher wasn't ever like, oh, that's wrong. But like, I was looking at mine and looking at everyone else's. I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here right now. I'm supposed to be designing a bridge. I'm talking about building a school. So like, I went into architecture the following year, and like, I say, you know, going into I'm halfway through my 3rd year, about to graduate my bachelor's next year. So I think like architecture was like a pretty good thing for me. Like, I think it made the most sense for that, but I don't even really want to work at like an architecture firm or anything like that, for real. Yeah.
When you're headed to the top and it seems like everything is going good, you have life coming right at you from every different angle. And it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on? I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything that I wanted to do, but it's still like life is hitting hard. So I want you to discuss that just a little bit more about the obstacles that you have faced over these previous months from before Burn 2 to after till now.
It all starts with like people telling me, people giving me the worst. One of the worst things that I get from people is like their advice. I'm like, if I were to go off people's advice, I really wouldn't even be here right now. Like, I probably Burn 1 would start like right now at this point, because like everything, all people, some people would say is like, oh, maybe you should do this. Maybe you should, like, before you do that, maybe you should improve on this. Maybe you should take a class or something. But like, I've just, like I said before, I like rejecting the rules and just doing what I want to do. So like, even when we did Burn and, the first Burn, and like, the camera was crooked, there was stuff in the background, and like, in a way, I was like, this is fly, this is awesome, because it's like, this is so authentic. And like, it's so hard because like, I live in the future. So I'm like, I keep forgetting that people don't see what I'm seeing when I'm talking about stuff. So like, I can be at Burn 1 in Douglas in February and be like, this is gonna be like great, like people are gonna want to see this, and other people could be like, yeah, it's cool, I mean, like, I don't know. And like, technically we're both right, but they're more right in the current context, because right now it's not a super good production. But I knew 2, we're gonna get better. 3 is gonna look freaking incredible. All these experiences are gonna get even better and better and better. And like, that's the first thing. But like, just with like Burn, it's like, it really taught me to be a better leader and to really take a better stance on like what I believe in, because I'm gonna do my best to not say people's names. Being a chef in a kitchen, knowing what you want to make, and then some other people coming in and being like, some people come in, they'll be like, oh, that's cool. You want to add some like this? Oh, here's an extra pan. Oh, here's some water. Maybe you should balance that, that salt out with some lemon, It's just like, okay, that's helpful. But then other people can come in and be like, well, maybe we should like do a different dish. Or maybe we should like do a flip on that and add some like Cajun to it. And sometimes I don't like that, because I know exactly what I want, but sometimes it may not be streamlined and perfect yet, And me as a very like intense artist, I will definitely like, it makes me like kind of antsy when people kind of like overstep and like don't like see like, okay, I know what I'm doing. It may not look like it, but I know what I'm doing. It's just, it may be rough around the edges. I've always been a very bad drawer. Like when I was in like kindergarten, like I would, I'd be that kid that draws with their fists and stuff like that, because like I could never stay in the lines. But I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? I knew what I was doing. What if I started looking like right there? I was nowhere, like I knew what I was But yeah, I knew what I was doing. And like, it's just hard for people to see that sometimes. And especially as a creative, like it's hard, just finding people that can like go through, can come with you on like your different life challenges and stuff like that. Like I'm a free spirit. I'm a free being, and like I feel like it's hard sometimes for artists to really be in relationships or any sort of like really like intense like thing like that, because it requires a lot out of you, and it requires you to show up a lot. And I don't know, it's difficult for a person like me sometimes, because I show up for myself in different ways, and like I'm okay with that. Like if I show up to myself and I'm like this way and like I'm usually another way, I'll be like, okay, that's cool. But like you can't really do that with a relationship. You kind of gotta, in some way, and they will appreciate and accept a certain level, but like at a certain point it's kind of like you gotta start showing up for me how I want you to, and it's like, it's tough as an artist, I'd say. Yeah.
Do you think that that's going to get better over time, though, with just experience and the fact that, I mean, you're pretty self-aware, so you feel like, of course, you know who you are, but there's a certain level of like experiences that you're going to go through, and maybe you're going to get better at just identifying those relationships or those situations where they are like mutually beneficial and like you can be who you are.
Yes. You know, I'm really big into manifesting. I've eliminated the words like if or maybe and stuff like that, so, or hope. So I know it will happen. I just, even if I'm not really confident right now, I know that it will happen. You know, like the people I look up to, like Kanye, Steve Jobs, you know, all these people, Ray Kroc, you know, I always look at their biographies and stuff like that, and you know, a lot of them are just like, oh yeah, they really didn't find love, or like they had like 6 different wives and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really want that. Like, even my dad was married 3 times, and like, it's weird because like he's probably, my mom raised me, but like I mostly am like my dad, and yeah. Like I'm basically like, he's basically like my twin. Like I'm actually gonna see him later today, and like we just get it, we just understand each other, and like it worries me sometimes. 'Cause I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? Like if you went that way, I don't want to go that way. You know what I'm saying? But I know that it will come for me. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I'm 21. You know what I mean? This is the years that it is kind of shaky. Like I'm not gonna find my Howard wife. You know what I mean? It's fine. You know, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
So what are you fighting for right now?
I'm fighting for love, man. I'm fighting for understanding. I'm fighting for just not a seat at the table, to destroy the table and then put my own table on top. I'm like, I always personify myself as like punk, you know, even though I may look pretty conservative with like how I dress and everything like that, but the way I think and the way I see the world is very punk. And, you know, I'm inspired by those like Basquiat and everything like that, who really just took, you know, the status quo and just did what he wanted with it. And you know, when I go out to New York, like once every couple of months, I see like, you know, there's going to be a point where like they all understand like who Quaran Ahmad is, because there's never been a space in my life that I've gone into that I haven't become like, people didn't know who I was. Like if it was like my elementary school where I was getting like the top grades, like literally like I'm so not combative, but competitive, yeah, competitive. Like I had the top grades in the class with this other white kid, and like, and like I probably had like a third of the friends, but like I was still like the smartest kid there. Or like when I was in high school, like people knew me more so as a creative, a little bit, but they also knew me because I was just a cool guy. And like, you know, it took me breaking down my shell a little bit more. But even like, I thought that it would be harder at Howard, like for people to really like care about who I am and stuff, because there's so many amazing creatives here, and not even just creatives, but just amazing black people doing cool stuff. So I'm like, oh man, will I really stand out? But I have. And like, that's not even ego talking. Like, it's just like, I like to sometimes dial it back, but like, I think it's good for me sometimes to start really talking my shit, cause like, I mean, like, look, I mean, you know what I mean? So it's like, what I'm fighting for is just love, bro. When I make all these projects, when I drop my new thing, it's love. I want you guys to look at like, you know, when I put like that sanitation worker on the cover of my last photo set, but then I have a model on the one before. I'm showing you guys, I'm teaching a message without shoving it down your throats, and that nobody is better than the other. Just because this one has 30 million Instagram followers and this one has 2 doesn't mean that you should talk to them more, or networking would be better. It's like there's value in every single person. You know, I go by a mantra. I literally have it on my feet. You know, it literally says love everyone. Like I I love everybody. I show everybody love. I don't do any of this for network, and I don't do any of this to go to the Met Gala or something like that. Like, I am just emitting love and showing people how important it is to put that hand out to the kid that got bullied. To say, hey, I'll sit with you at the lunch table. To say, hey, no one else is like pointing attention to that one thing right there, or that thing, that elephant in the room, but I'm gonna stand right next to it. I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna make the conversation about that, because that's important. That's what's going to cause growth. That's what's going to lead to a collective consciousness raising up and like actually creating something that's motivational, that forces people to think. No more like candy. Have the real hard truth, the real vegetable. And that's what Quaran Ahmad is bringing to the world, and that's what my art is bringing to the world.
I think I speak for everyone on the Burn team when we say we see the hard work, the dedication that you're putting into your art, and we see it through the way that you act, the way that you lead, the way that you just grow as a person and creative. I know we met damn near almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And just to see your growth from that point to this point, I will say it's a beautiful transition.
Thank you.
Almost seeing like a caterpillar turn into a butterfly, almost.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that we thoroughly enjoy you as a creative director, all of that, from the work that you put in from Burn to the other projects that you do. So I just want to say, from me and the Burn team, we thank you for the opportunity to even be a part of this project and be put into these places of videography, interviewing, just all creative perspectives all around, just giving us a chance to grow as creatives and be a part in our space where we feel accepted. So, Quaran Ahmad, I thank you. What do you think?
Of course, y'all. The one last thing I want to say before, I really appreciate you guys. You don't gotta film it if you don't want to. It's like, I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate all you people watching, Burn and everything like that. This has been a dream to work on Burn, the Burn documentary. And this will probably be the last episode of the series, so until we do part 4 in 20 years and stuff. But thank you everybody who watched. Thank you everybody who just put energy towards our collective project called Burn. We really all appreciate it. I appreciate you guys for just being helping hands and just being there. I know I'm a lot. I just know. But like, thank you for showing up how you do whenever you can. So thank you everybody. I'm Quaran Ahmad, and I'll see you soon.